I've gone nose blind, thank God. But this world stinks. All this started when that messy streamer cleaned out their room.
Oi, oi, you muddy fugglers! Get in here, sit down, we're going to read some news. The idea of a post-apocalyptic world where people are hanging on by a thread is very attractive in fiction lately. Oh no, there's an outbreak of something, and you know, we've all seen the movies and all that malarkey, so I'm sure there are lots of unknown unknowns out there that could creep up on us and cause all sorts of misery. But here's another weird known unknown that sounds pretty gross and post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic. From the Daily Mail, written by Chris Malloy. Warning as deadly fungal storms sweep America with toxic dust carrying disease. Bloody hell. Not disease carrying dust storms of fungalness. Oh no. Perhaps similar to The Last of Us. That's a zombie apocalypse based upon a fungal infection similar to, I think, the one that infects ants. I think it's little ants that get turned into zombies. Anyway, let's read this. Giant storms filled with potentially deadly fungal spores are set to sweep across at least 11 states this summer, with the worst conditions still weeks away. Meteorologists and health experts have warned that dust storms in the southwest will stir up dangerous fungal spores from the soil through September, potentially exposing millions to valley fever. This common illness is a lung infection caused by breathing in microscopic fungus particles called coccidioids that live in dry soil frequently blown around by strong desert winds. The spores turn into growing fungal cells that the immune system typically fights off, causing mild flu-like symptoms such as fever, cough, and headaches in most patients. But severe infections can spread to the organs and bones and become fatal. Illnesses could soon skyrocket as the Southwest, including California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas, enters the North American monsoon season, known for major thunderstorms and strong winds throughout the region. These winds kick up huge walls of dust known as haboobs. I didn't know that's what they're called, but I like the sound of that. From the dry ground right where the soil is the driest. The combination of extreme heat and drought plus the monsoon winds creates the more frequent and intense dust storms carrying spores. Valley fever causes tend to start peaking in October, a few weeks or months after the dust storms, because it takes time for the fungus to grow after people inhale the spores. That's a bit gross. Forecasters have already issued air quality alerts this week as massive domes of high pressure trap smoke, haze and dust closer to the ground for people to breathe in. Other states the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention noted as being likely breeding grounds for coccidioids include parts of Washington, Oregon, Idaho and southern Wyoming. However, the health agency warned that the potential range of coccidioids spores could spread over the entire western half of the US, from Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas to the Pacific coast. In June, AccuWeather's climate experts warned that the US could suffer from a mini dust bowl if the current El Niño weather pattern in the Pacific leads to a multi-year drought. The historic Dust Bowl of the 1930s caused a major environmental disaster across the central US and Great Plains, bringing severe drought and destroying farmland. The new Dust Bowl in areas where the CDC says it is possible for coccidioids to live could expose tens of millions of Americans to the hazardous spores as dust storms intensify. Researchers have found that cases of valley fever have already risen dramatically in the recent years throughout the Southwest, although experts are not sure exactly what is causing the infections to increase so fast. A 2017 study in the journal Geophysical Research Letters noted that in the Southwest frequented by dust storms, the infection rate of valley fever has mysteriously gone up more than 800% from 2000 to 2011. The team from the NOAA Air Resources Lab and George Mason University also noted that there was a 240% increase in the number of giant dust storms in the 2000s compared to the 1990s. They concluded that the main cause was climate change. Of course, making the region drier. Moreover, tiny shifts in sea surface temperatures in the northern Pacific Ocean helped drive stronger winds and drier conditions that stirred up more dust. Coccidioides grows naturally in dry, sandy soils in certain arid parts of the world, like the southwest. It thrives in alkaline-rich soils with hot summers, mild winters, and low rainfall, and is generally harmless to most people most of the time unless it's being blown into the air and inhaled into the lungs. While the CDC has called these infections rare, the agency admitted that some outbreaks happened in places where scientists did not expect the fungus to live. Celeste Saulo, Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization, told BBC Science Focus, sand and dust storms do not just mean dirty windows and hazy skies. They harm the health and quality of life of millions of people and cost many millions of dollars through disruption to air and ground transport, on agriculture and on solar energy production. The CDC has urged anyone in the path of a dust storm this summer to stay indoors and shut all windows until the air is clear. To avoid valley fever, the Arizona Department of Health Services in Maricopa County said, avoid dusty areas such as construction and evacuation and excavation sites as much as possible. If you can avoid them, wear an N95 mask or respirator while in these areas. They added that locals should water down desert soil before spreading it to reduce the chance of it becoming airborne dust. For drivers, the National Weather Service urged any driver who sees a dust storm coming to pull aside, stay alive, meaning they should move their car off the road, shut the windows and use recirculating air conditioning if available until the storm passes. Well, that is creepy as heck. And one of the reasons I think that we're having such a struggle with the balance between nationalism and globalism is the fact that so many national security issues are not going to abide by borders, most of them in the future. So information attacks, disinformation, man-made or AI-made pathogens, such as something like this maybe. I mean, you could imagine a pathogen made to piggyback something like this, which could cause a great issue in certain geographical areas, couldn't it? Certainly not suggesting anybody do that, but the fact that that is potentially possible, if somebody hijacked that particular strain of fungus and used it to propagate some kind of virus, I don't know, that would be a bad thing. And the potential for bad things to blow across borders is what's, in my opinion, making the concept of borders less relevant nowadays than they used to be. So ignoring that and trumpeting the nationalism without understanding that is not very helpful, in my opinion. Thank you for joining me wherever you are. Hit the like button if you like what I do. But that is it for now. And the only thing I have left to say is, Pigwig, out.
Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oink, oink, ree, squeal, snort, snort, oinkity, squee. Oink, 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 squee, squee, ree, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, 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 oh. Snort, snuffle, oink, squee, squeal, ree, snort, oinkity, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, ree, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squee, squee, ree, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, 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 oh. Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, ree, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squee, squee, ree, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, 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 oh. Squeal, squeal. Snort, snuffle, oink, ree, squeal, ree, snort, oinky, oinkity, oink, 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 snuffle, ree, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, oink, oinkity, squee, squee, ree, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, 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 oh. Squeal, squeal, snort, snuffle, oink,